I want to talk to you about something nobody in this space talks about. Not the time cost, not the stress, not the fact that you can't take a vacation without your phone blowing up, ring, ring, ring all the time. I want to talk to you about the cost that doesn't show up until it's too late. I want to talk to you the cost to you, the cost personally. Because here's what I've seen happen over and over and over again with farm owners at your revenue level. They spend 10, 15, 20 hours, 20 years building something. They pour everything into it. Their judgment, their relationship, their standard of quality, their reputation, their nights and their weekends, and their health sometimes. And all of that, when it's finally time to step back, time to, see what you've built by either selling or bringing a partner in, and they finally realize the value of what they built. They realize that the farm that they've poured their whole life work into, it can't stand without them. The farm can't stand without them. And because of this, the value doesn't transfer. It simply evaporates. Not because they build something bad, but because they build something that only works when they are in it. And much the cost nobody calculates. Not the accountant, not the advisor, not the consultant who came in and talked about delegation. The cost of never being truly rewarded for what you built. Think about what you've actually built. First, a client base that trusts you, a reputation in your market, a body of technical knowledge that takes years to accumulate, relationships that have compounded over time into something genuinely valuable. Now, that's real. That is worth something. But with all of that you've built, this here is the billion-dollar question. Who does it belong to? Who does it belong to? Because if the answer is you personally, well, then you haven't built a farm. You've just built a demanding job that pays reasonably well and follows you everywhere. And the problem with a demanding job is that it has no exit. You can't sell a job. Imagine you go to Walmart or you go to a manager, right? And the manager is okay. They've been at the company for 5 years, and one day they're like, I want to sell this job. They can't do that. They can't do that. So, in essence, you also can't pass a job to a successor. You can't step back from a job and watch it generate value for you. You just work and work and work until you stop. And when you stop, it stops. And that's the reward problem. You did the work of building a business, but what you actually built is structured like a job. And the gap between those two things, between what you put in and what you can actually realize, that is what the dependency costs you. Not per hour, over a career. Now, let's make this concrete. There are 3 numbers every farm owner needs to calculate, and most have never sat down and actually calculated them. Number 1, your trapped capacity cost. Write this down. Your trapped capacity cost. Now, every hour you spend on something someone else could do with the right system, that's an hour you didn't spend acquiring a client. That's an hour you did not spend developing a manager. That's an hour you did not spend building a referral relationships. That's an hour you did not spend positioning the firm for its next stage. Now, take that number conservatively. Say it's 10 hours a week. That's 500 hours a year. At your effective hourly rate, whatever that is, calculate what that time is worth if it was pointed at growth instead of operations. For most firms at this revenue level, which is 1 to 5 million, that number is significant and it compounds. Every year you don't fix the structure, you lose that capacity again and again and again. Number 2, your unserviceable demand cost. Your unserviceable demand cost. Right now, because you are the bottleneck, there is work your firm cannot take on. Referrals you've turned down. Maybe clients you couldn't serve properly because you are already at capacity. Revenue that walk past your door because your structure couldn't absorb it. Now, most owners I've met know this, and almost none of them have put a number to it. Put a number on it. Even a conservative estimate will surprise you. Third, your valuation gap. And this is the one that matters the most. And it's the one that almost nobody calculates until they're trying to sell their firm. A firm that depends on its owner to function does not sell at the same multiple as a firm that runs independently, not even close. The difference in valuation multiples between a dependent firm and a system-driven firm at your revenue level is not marginal, it's significant. Excuse me. In some cases, it's the difference between a life-changing exit and walking away with almost nothing after taxes and earn-out risk. That gap, the difference between what your firm is worth today and what it will be worth if it could run without you, that is the real cost of dependency. Everything else just noise, just noise compared to that number. Here is what I want you to sit with. You didn't build this firm to work in it forever. At some point, whether you've said it out loud or not, you imagine the version of this firm where the firm worked for you, where you could finally, step back, perhaps even a jet. Oh, it could not even be at the jet level, just calling in and people doing the operations for you. You could travel good, run your errands, and the firm will still be there. A version where you could bring the right people and watch what you build, generate value without requiring you to be there every day. Now, that, my friend, that is not an unreasonable expectation. That is what building a business is supposed to produce. But dependency doesn't just cost you time, it costs you that outcome. It costs you the step back. It costs you the exit. It costs you the return on 20 years of work. And the painful part is, the part I think is genuinely underappreciated, is that it isn't happening because you made bad decisions. It's happening because you made good decisions. You built around yourself because you were the best answer. You held the standard because yours was the highest. You kept the relationship because clients trusted you in particular the most. Every decision made sense in the moment that it was made. But the cumulative effect of all those good decisions without the structural counterweight of extraction and transfer is a firm that rewards you with income while it's running, and almost nothing is done. That is the cost nobody calculates. And it is the cost the dependency audit is designed to prevent. Now, here is what matters. This cost is not fixed. This cost is not permanent. It's a function of structure, and structure can be changed, but there's a window. The earlier you start building the transferable version of your firm, the more of that value you recover. The later you start, the more you've already lost it permanently, because some of the knowledge that should have been transferred has become so embedded, it's nearly impossible to extract. So some of the client relationships have become so personal they never fully transfer to a team. Some of the years where the compounding could have happened, they're gone. So the window is open right now, and this Thursday we're going to run the specific numbers on what your firm is actually worth today versus what it will be worth if it ran without you. Not a concept, it's a calculation. So come back Thursday, and if you haven't taken the dependency audit score yet, do it before then. The link is in the description, and the score tells you exactly how wide your valuation gap currently is. And that is where the highest leverage fixes are. You built something real. The question is whether the structure you built in will let you realize what it's worth. So that's what this week is about. With that, I will see you on Thursday.